What is going on, guys? I'm the Mahano, and today's video is the start of my new series. I have been speaking about doing this series for a little while now, and this is the first video. And the series is about PC builds. I'm going to be doing cheap PC builds, you know, pretty good gaming rigs, really beast PCs, and just give you suggestions of good rigs to build. Today's rig is a £350, well, just over £350, $500 PC rig, and it'd be good for gaming. You could play most games, even the high overpowered games. You could probably play them at medium resolution, stuff like that. 720p, even like GTA, you can probably run it in about medium settings, 720p, which is pretty decent. You can play loads of games in high quality HD full 1080p with this rig. But the really overpowered games, the games that you really need a good computer for, you could probably run them, but not in full 1080p medium quality. For example, GTA, Bioshock Infinite, Crisis 3, you probably won't be able to run them at the best resolution, but you will definitely be able to run them pretty well, and 720p high medium quality, depending on the game. So let's get started. The case is a BitFenix Neos Black ATX mid tower case. It's an ATX case. It costs $28.74, which is pretty good, and that's an Aria PC. It's got two external 525 bays, 3 internal 2.5-inch bays, 3 internal 3.5-inch bays. It's ATX. It can fit an ATX, micro ATX, mini ATX. It's got a front panel USB port and a USB 3.0 port. And the maximum video card length is 300mm, which is good for our video card because our video card's pretty small. It's BitFenix, so you know it's a pretty good case make, and the case looks pretty sexy. It's nice and plain, not too colourful, not in your face, but it's plain, it's big, it's good enough for this rig, and it's only £30. The motherboard is an MSI A78M E45 micro ATX FM2 Plus motherboard. Yes, this is an AMD rig, but it will be good enough for gaming. It's pretty cheap, and you can run really good games on. It's cheaper than the Xbox One. Well, not anymore. It's an FM2 Plus CPU socket. It's a micro ATX form factor. It's manufactured by MSI. It's got 4 DDR3 memory slots. It's got a max memory of 64 GB, and it supports RAID and it supports Crossfire. It's got the external ports. It has, you know, 2 USBs, normal ones, USB 2.0, and then 4 USB 3.0. It has a VGA port, a HDMI port, and a DVI port. It's obviously got the Ethernet cable and, well, not the Ethernet port, and the sound ports, obviously. And it's by MSI. The price of the motherboard on Amazon.co.uk is £41.46, which is pretty decent for a good motherboard. It's by a reputable brand, MSI. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the processor. For the processor, we are using an AMD Athlon X4 740 quad-core processor, and it is clocked at 3.2 GHz. It's got 64 gigabytes cache. I think it's gigabytes. I can't see it. It's quad-core, and it only uses 65 watts. It doesn't have hyper-threading, and it does include a CPU cooler, which is why we're not going to have an external, aftermarket CPU cooler. For the RAM, we're using a Kingston Fury Series 8GB DDR3 1600 clock stick. We're using 2 4GB, and that works better than one 8GB stick because it works in dual dual channel memory configuration, which means the RAM works better if there's two RAMs put in the right slot. It is DDR3 RAM, clocked at 1600 megahertz. It will be pretty good. It can run loads of things. You can probably record low powered games with this amount of RAM. It will render videos at a decent speed. It comes with a heat spreader. It's got the heat spreader's blue, and it just looks really nice. And the price of this RAM is £46.46 at CCL UK. The GPU we're going to use is a really decent GPU. Sorry, my mind's. Let me have a sip of Relentless. There we go. The GPU we're using is an EVGA GeForce GTX 750 Ti. It's got a 2GB DDR5 RAM. We're using the For the Win For the Win ACX video card, which is a pretty decent. It's got 1.19 gigahertz clocks. It only uses 60 watts. It doesn't have SLI support, and it doesn't have crossfire support. But the length is 241 millimeters, so it is a small. GPU. A good thing about it though, it also supports G-Sync. So if you've got a G-Sync monitor, you can use it. It's got one DVI dual link display port. It's got one VGA port, and it's also got a HDMI port. It's pretty decent, and the best thing about it, it will run loads of games, high quality, really good. You know, all the old games. You can even run Daisy, high quality, Rust, all them games, high quality, HD, max settings, 1080p, even, you know, probably get about 60 frames per second on it. It's a brilliant card. For the higher quality games such as like GTA, games like that, it will struggle a bit. You could probably get 720p medium settings. You know, you'd probably be doing alright there, but 30-40 FPS. But it has got 2 gigs of DDR5 memory. It's a decent card, good for a small budget build, and the price of it is £119.98 on Amazon.co.uk. So 120 quid for a graphics card. That is really good price. Now for the storage. For the storage, we're using a Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB 3.5 inch 7200 RPM internal hard drive. It's pretty basic. Western Digital Caviar Blue. It's loads of people use it. There's not much to it, to be fair. 64 megabytes cache, 7200 RPM. It's pretty. It's a decent internal hard drive. It's £41.96 at scan. Can't go wrong. 1TB storage, enough for a bunch of games, bunch of videos, stuff like that. It will run pretty fast as it's 7200 RPM. It's pretty decent. Right, for the power supply, we're using a EVGA 500 watt 80 plus bronze certified power supply. It's ATX form factor. It's an 80 plus bronze, which means it will run, it work. There's not going to be anything wrong with it. It's gonna last you a long time. It's pretty cheap, £38.99 at Novatech. The bad thing about it, it's a non-modular power supply, which means all the wires are stuck into it. You won't be able to, you know, unplug the wires and stuff, which might make cable management a bit annoying, but it's pretty decent. It's 500 watts, which means, you know, the whole build runs about 300 watts. Why do you have a 500 watt power supply? Well, the reason why you have a 500 watt power supply is because you can upgrade in the future. Say you want a better graphics card, just sell your GTX 750 Ti and you could probably get, you know, a 970 in there. it is 500 watts is a hell of a lot of thing. It's bronze certified. It is a really good power supply. It's really cheap. So like I said, that's the end of the build. It costs 361 British pounds and 561 US dollars. You know, it might be a bit cheaper in US dollars, but that's the pounds converted to US dollars. So if you search around, you could probably get it cheaper. Even in the UK, if you search around, you probably get it cheaper. But it's a decent build, AMD build. You can do pretty well in it. If you would like, there's optional. You can add an SSD to make your your storage run faster. You can even buy a new graphics card. But this is a recommended build. I've got some of the parts from it, and it's pretty decent. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already, and look forward to future build videos. I'm the Mahano, and goodbye.